At over 82 kilometers long, the Panama Canal is the longest artificial waterway in the world. The architectural masterpiece is not one of the seven wonders of the modern world for nothing. However, the canal was built by the USA and was even officially U.S. state property until 1999. To this day, the United States exerts great influence over the canal and the whole of Panama, which of course does not please the great rival power China at all. Nevertheless, it came as a great surprise when the Chinese government announced its intention to tackle a megaproject that had previously seemed impossible. A rival project to the Panama Canal, the Nicaragua Canal. A construction project that would put all of China's previous megaprojects in the shade. But what exactly is the canal all about? How is Panama reacting to it, and why has the project failed so far? We take a look at all these questions in today's video. Have fun! The possibility of building a canal from the Pacific to the Atlantic has been discussed ever since Nicaragua was discovered by the Spanish. The reason for this lies primarily in Nicaragua's geography. As we can see on the map, there are several inland lakes in the Central American country, with the so-called Lake Nicaragua, often referred to as Cosabalca, standing out in particular. This could drastically shorten the route, and some well-situated rivers could also serve as the basis for a canal. However, we should not be fooled. The Panama Canal was an incredibly difficult undertaking that is still considered an architectural masterpiece today, and in which tens of thousands of workers lost their lives. And it has a total length of 82 kilometers. The Nicaragua Canal, however, would have an incredible length of over 278 kilometers. So here we can see the incredible dimensions of this project. It is therefore not surprising that the Spanish architects quickly rejected the idea of a canal, even if it was officially justified with a religious context. The Spanish King Philip II described the land bridge between the two seas as God's creation, which man had no right to improve. American businessmen, however, were not very interested in the God-given nature of the land bridge and carried out the first feasibility studies for the construction of such a canal from the 19th century onwards. The main reason for this was the gold rush on the U.S. West Coast at the time, and they were looking for an easy way to transport the gold by ship to the American centers on the East Coast. It also quickly became clear that the USA would not tolerate any interference from the local government, as it had several gunboats on both coasts of Nicaragua. In this way, a treaty very much in favor of the USA was wrested from the government. But the actual implementation failed. This time, too, the feasibility seemed virtually impossible. In addition, the Americans now saw an opportunity to help Panama, which at the time belonged to Colombia, gain independence in order to build a canal there, which seemed much easier. This is how the Panama Canal was finally built in 1914, which was to become the sole monopoly for shipping between the Pacific and Atlantic. It was not until the early 2000s that its monopoly was actually called into question. At some point, the gigantic cargo ships became too large for the Panama Canal, making passage impossible. In addition, a rival power had emerged to compete with the USA, which now saw an opportunity to replace the American-dominated canal. And so it was that China put the plans for the Nicaragua Canal back on the table. After negotiations with the government in Nicaragua, a Chinese company led by billionaire Wang Jing was finally awarded the contract, and construction was due to begin as early as 2014. The project, called El Gran Canal, was to be completed within just 5 years and cost almost $40 billion. The Chinese investment group was to receive the right to operate the canal for 100 years. Nicaragua was hoping for billions in revenue similar to that generated by the Panama Canal. In addition to independence from the Panama Canal, China also wanted to secure its long-term oil supplies from Venezuela. But everything turned out differently. To this day, construction has not even begun. And now nobody believes in the prestigious project anymore. But why? In fact, Wang Jing gambled away a large part of his fortune on the stock market, causing the company to become increasingly unstable. In 2018, the company's offices were finally closed, and speculation about the final demise of the project became a certainty when Wang Jing was excluded from the Shanghai Stock Exchange in September 2021. In addition, the government in Panama was not idle, as the main source of state revenue was now at risk. Work on widening the Panama Canal began quickly, and a new third pair of locks was finally opened in 2016, allowing even the largest cargo ships to pass through. and so the construction of the Nicaragua Canal seems very unlikely in the near future. Nevertheless, it is quite possible that China is keeping this back door open for the future and will nevertheless tackle the project again at some point.